Sarah Foxwell was just an 11-year-old girl when she suddenly vanished from her home in Salisbury, Maryland, in December 2009. Her disappearance sent shockwaves through the tight-knit community, filling the hearts of residents with fear and uncertainty. Everyone asked the same haunting question: how could a child disappear without a trace? The case would soon reveal the darkness that lurked closer than anyone had imagined, as the search for Sarah became a race against time. Sarah Haley Foxwell, affectionately known as Sarah, was a bright and spirited child. She lived with her aunt, Amy Fothergill, and several other children in a modest home. Amy, who had taken on the role of Sarah's guardian, was devoted to providing a loving and stable environment for her niece. Sarah's mother, Jennifer, had struggled with personal issues, and it was decided that living with her aunt was in Sarah's best interest. Sarah was a typical 11-year-old, full of energy and curiosity. She loved playing outside, riding her bike, and spending time with her friends. At school, she was known for her friendly personality and infectious smile. Teachers often praised her for being kind-hearted and eager to learn. Her family and friends adored her, and she was a beloved member of the community. On the evening of December 22, 2009, the Foxwell household was bustling with the usual pre-Christmas excitement. The children were eagerly anticipating the holidays, and the air was filled with the sounds of laughter and joy. As the night grew late, Amy Fothergill tucked Sarah and the other children into bed, reminding them that Santa would soon be on his way. However, the festive atmosphere turned into a nightmare when Amy discovered that Sarah was not in her bed the next morning. Panic set in as she frantically searched the house, hoping to find her hiding or playing a game. But Sarah was nowhere to be found. Amy immediately called the police, and the search for Sarah began. The news of Sarah's disappearance spread quickly throughout Salisbury. Law enforcement officers arrived at the Foxwell home and began their investigation. They combed through the house, looking for any signs of forced entry or clues that might indicate what had happened to Sarah. Amy told the officers that Sarah had last been seen wearing her green pajama pants and a red shirt. As the hours passed, the reality of the situation began to sink in. Sarah was truly missing, and the fear for her safety grew with each passing minute. The authorities issued an Amber Alert, broadcasting Sarah's description and details of her disappearance across the state. Volunteers from the community joined the search, scouring the area for any sign of the missing girl. The disappearance of Sarah Foxwell had a profound impact on the Salisbury community. People from all walks of life came together, united by their desire to find Sarah and bring her home safely. Search parties were organized, and hundreds of volunteers combed through woods, fields, and neighborhoods, hoping to find any trace of the young girl. Local businesses and organizations offered their support, providing food, supplies, and other resources to aid in the search efforts. Candlelight vigils were held, where community members gathered to pray for Sarah's safe return and to offer support to her family. The outpouring of love and concern was overwhelming, a testament to the strength and compassion of the community. As the days went by, the search for Sarah intensified. Law enforcement agencies, including the FBI, became involved, bringing additional resources and expertise to the investigation. Despite their best efforts, however, there were no significant leads, and the hope of finding Sarah alive began to wane. But amidst the fear and uncertainty, the community's resolve never wavered. They continued to search, driven by the belief that Sarah would be found and brought home. The case of Sarah Foxwell was a stark reminder of the vulnerability of children and the importance of community solidarity in the face of tragedy. When the police were notified about Sarah Foxwell's disappearance, they immediately launched a thorough investigation. The first step was to gather as much information as possible from Sarah's family and friends. Officers asked Amy Fothergill, Sarah's aunt, detailed questions about the previous night and morning. They wanted to know who had last seen Sarah, what she was wearing, and if there had been any unusual occurrences or strangers around the house. The police also conducted a detailed search of the Foxwell home. They looked for signs of forced entry, any items that might be out of place, and any clues that could indicate where Sarah might have gone or who could have taken her. Fingerprints were collected, and items from Sarah's room were carefully examined for potential evidence. Meanwhile, officers canvassed the neighborhood, knocking on doors and speaking to neighbors. They asked if anyone had seen or heard anything unusual the night Sarah disappeared. They also requested any security camera footage from nearby homes and businesses that might have captured something useful. The hope was to find any small detail that could help piece together the events leading up to Sarah's disappearance. As the investigation progressed, the police began to piece together some key evidence and leads. One of the most crucial pieces of information came from Sarah's little sister. Despite her young age, she bravely provided information that would prove to be vital to the case. Sarah's sister recalled that a man named Thomas Leggs had been at their house the night Sarah went missing. This information immediately raised red flags for the investigators. Thomas Leggs was known to the family and had a troubling history. He was a registered sex offender with previous convictions involving minors. With this new lead, the police quickly focused their efforts on Leggs. They discovered that he had been seen in the area around the time of Sarah's disappearance, and he had a known association with the family. This information, combined with his criminal background, made him a primary suspect in the case. The breakthrough came when investigators re-interviewed Sarah's little sister and confirmed her account of Leggs being at the house. This information was crucial because it provided a direct link between Leggs and Sarah's disappearance. The police decided to bring Leggs in for questioning. During the questioning, Leggs was evasive and inconsistent with his answers. His nervous behavior only raised further suspicions. The police knew they needed more concrete evidence to hold him and continue their investigation. They obtained a warrant to search Leggs' vehicle and his residence. During the search, officers found several items that belonged to Sarah, including her green pajama pants and red shirt. This discovery was critical as it directly connected Leggs to Sarah and provided physical evidence that he had been with her after she disappeared. With the evidence found in his possession, Thomas Leggs was formally arrested and charged with Sarah Foxwell's abduction. The police continued their search efforts, hoping to find Sarah alive. The community, though devastated by the news, remained hopeful that Sarah would be found safe. The arrest of Leggs was a significant development in the case. It brought a mix of relief and fear to the community. People were relieved that a suspect had been identified and arrested, but the uncertainty about Sarah's fate still loomed large. The community's reaction to the arrest of Thomas Leggs was one of shock and anger. Many people knew Leggs or had seen him around, and the realization that someone so dangerous had been living among them was terrifying. The news spread quickly, and the media swarmed the small town of Salisbury, Maryland. Local news stations provided continuous coverage of the case, detailing every development and interviewing community members who had joined the search efforts. National media outlets also picked up the story, bringing wider attention to Sarah's disappearance and the arrest of Thomas Leggs. The media played a crucial role in keeping the public informed and engaged. Candlelight vigils and community meetings were organized to show support for Sarah's family and to keep the focus on finding her. The public outpouring of support was overwhelming. People donated food, supplies, and their time to assist in the search efforts. As the days passed, the media coverage intensified. Reporters interviewed experts on child abduction and criminal behavior, discussing the potential motives and behaviors of individuals like Leggs. The case sparked a broader conversation about the safety of children and the measures communities could take to protect them. The arrest of Thomas Leggs also led to increased scrutiny of the systems in place to monitor sex offenders. Many in the community and beyond began to question whether enough was being done to keep track of individuals with histories of sexual offenses and to protect vulnerable populations from potential harm. Despite the arrest, the primary focus remained on finding Sarah. The community's hope and determination never wavered. Volunteers continued to search tirelessly, driven by the belief that Sarah would be found and brought home safely. After the critical breakthrough in the case, Thomas Leggs was formally arrested and taken into custody. The evidence found in his vehicle, including items that unmistakably belonged to Sarah Foxwell, solidified the suspicions against him. The police charged Leggs with kidnapping and first-degree murder. The charges reflected the severity of the crime and the community's outrage and sorrow over Sarah's disappearance. Thomas Leggs, already known to law enforcement as a registered sex offender, faced intense scrutiny. His criminal record, which included prior offenses involving minors, played a crucial role in the case against him. The community followed the developments closely, hoping for justice to be swiftly served. The prosecution's case against Thomas Leggs was robust and methodically constructed. They presented a timeline that meticulously detailed Leggs' actions before and after Sarah's disappearance. Key pieces of physical evidence, such as Sarah's clothing found in Leggs' possession, were crucial in linking him directly to the crime. The prosecutor used witness testimonies to build a compelling narrative. Sarah's little sister's testimony was particularly poignant. She provided crucial information that placed Leggs at the scene, further cementing his connection to Sarah's disappearance. Other witnesses included neighbors and friends who could attest to Leggs' presence and behavior around the time Sarah went missing. Forensic experts played a vital role in the trial, explaining the significance of the physical evidence found. They discussed how the evidence was collected and preserved, ensuring the jury understood the meticulous process that linked the recovered items to both Sarah and Leggs. In contrast, the defense team for Thomas Leggs worked to cast doubt on the prosecution's case. They questioned the integrity of the evidence collection process and suggested alternative theories for Sarah's disappearance. The defense argued that the evidence against Leggs was circumstantial and that there was no direct proof that he intended to harm Sarah. The defense also highlighted Leggs' troubled background, including his struggles with mental health and substance abuse. They attempted to portray him as a troubled individual who needed help, rather than a calculated criminal. This strategy aimed to elicit sympathy from the jury and mitigate the potential penalties. The trial was filled with dramatic moments. The courtroom saw emotional testimonies from Sarah's family members who conveyed the profound impact of their loss. The intensity of the proceedings was palpable, with the community's attention fixed on every development. Cross-examinations were particularly tense. The defense aggressively challenged the prosecution's witnesses, trying to find inconsistencies in their testimonies. Meanwhile, the prosecution worked diligently to reinforce the credibility of their evidence and witnesses, ensuring the jury received a clear and uninterrupted narrative of Leggs' guilt. Media coverage of the trial provided the public with minute-by-minute updates, amplifying the dramatic nature of the courtroom proceedings. The community hung on each word, each piece of evidence presented, hoping for a resolution and justice for Sarah. After extensive deliberations, the jury returned with a verdict. Thomas Leggs was found guilty of first-degree murder and kidnapping. The evidence, although largely circumstantial, had been compelling enough to convince the jury of Leggs' guilt, beyond a reasonable doubt. The sentencing phase of the trial was another emotional juncture. Prosecutors argued for the maximum sentence, citing the heinous nature of the crime and Leggs' past criminal behavior. They emphasized the need to protect the community from individuals capable of such brutal acts. The defense pleaded for leniency, pointing to Leggs' troubled past and mental health issues. They argued that rehabilitation, rather than maximum punishment, was a more appropriate response. Ultimately, the judge sentenced Thomas Leggs to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The sentence reflected the gravity of the crime and the community's demand for justice. It was a profound moment of closure for many, although the pain of Sarah's tragic fate continued to linger in the hearts of those who knew and loved her. The murder of Sarah Foxwell left a lasting scar on the Salisbury community. It was a heart-wrenching reminder of the vulnerabilities that exist even in seemingly safe neighborhoods. For many, Sarah's story transformed their view of community safety, leading to increased vigilance and a reevaluation of how children are protected. The emotional toll was immense, with residents experiencing a profound sense of loss and a lingering fear that such a tragedy could happen to any family. For Sarah's family, the pain was unimaginable. They not only had to cope with the grief of losing a beloved child in such a horrific way, but also had to endure the lengthy and public trial of Thomas Leggs. The trial, while providing some measure of justice, reopened wounds and forced the family to relive the details of Sarah's final days repeatedly. In the wake of the tragedy, community leaders, law enforcement, and citizens rallied together to strengthen safety protocols. Schools and parent groups organized workshops on child safety and abduction prevention. Neighborhood watch programs were revitalized, and the local police increased their outreach efforts, working to restore the community's trust and ensure a rapid response to any future threats. The community's response went beyond immediate reactions to long-term commitments to support Sarah's family and improve child safety. Various local groups organized events in Sarah's memory, raising funds for child safety programs and supporting the family financially and emotionally. These events also served as platforms to educate the public on the importance of vigilance and the steps to take if a child goes missing. Efforts to raise awareness about child abduction and safety became a priority. Sarah's story prompted local schools to implement more comprehensive safety education for students, including how to recognize suspicious behavior and the importance of reporting it to adults. These programs aim to empower children with knowledge and strategies to protect themselves. The media continued to play a critical role by keeping Sarah's story in the public eye. Journalists covered not only the trial and its aftermath, but also the broader issues related to child safety that Sarah's case highlighted. This ongoing coverage helped maintain a dialogue on necessary changes in law and policy to prevent similar tragedies. Sarah Foxwell's legacy is a complex tapestry woven with sorrow, resilience, and hope. In the years following her death, her story has inspired numerous initiatives aimed at protecting children. A local nonprofit organization was established in her name, dedicated to enhancing child safety and supporting families of missing children. This organization works tirelessly to ensure that Sarah's story leads to positive change, helping to safeguard other children from harm. Moreover, Sarah's story has reached beyond Salisbury, touching hearts and influencing policies at a broader level. It has prompted discussions on how society can better monitor individuals with histories of sexual offenses and how early intervention can be facilitated to prevent future crimes. Annual memorials and charity runs in Sarah's honor keep her memory alive and remind the community of the continuous need to be vigilant and proactive in protecting its youngest and most vulnerable members. Reflecting on the Sarah Foxwell case, several key lessons emerge. First, the importance of community involvement cannot be overstated. The collective effort of Salisbury residents in searching for Sarah and supporting her family was a testament to the power of community spirit and unity in face of tragedy. Second, the case underscored the critical need for effective systems to monitor known offenders and prevent them from causing harm. It highlighted gaps in the legal and social service systems that require attention and improvement. Third, education and awareness are vital. Sarah's tragedy has taught the community and beyond the importance of educating children and adults about safety and vigilance. It has shown that knowledge and preparation can make a crucial difference in preventing and responding to abductions. Finally, the enduring impact of Sarah's story reminds us of the profound influence one life can have. Her legacy continues to inspire actions and changes aimed at making communities safer for children everywhere. In remembering Sarah, we reaffirm our commitment to protecting the innocent and ensuring that her tragic end continues to foster a safer future for all children.